MDHHS, Zoe Lyons. Good morning, Zoe.
Good morning.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Jackson office just down the street. We're neighbors.
Yeah. The weather's nice. We can walk back and forth now almost.
Almost. We're there.
We're getting close.
Well, we've talked several times about this over the last couple of years, the need for foster parents, and we don't have enough.
We still don't have enough. Specifically for our older kids, which we've talked about over and over again. We, as kids, oh boy, older is even age 10. It doesn't seem like that's an older child, but 10 and over, it's harder to find folks willing to take them in. And these are the kids that, have experienced maybe some trauma for longer periods of time. So, yeah.
So in Michigan, we have around 10,000 children in foster care. Wow. Jackson, around 165.
165.
What is kind of the need in Jackson?
So primarily it's going to be these older kids. Okay. We also are looking for homes always that will take sibling groups. So we have, sometimes groups of 3 or 4 that children that get removed from their parents, and we want to keep them together whenever possible. When we talk to children who are older, maybe they're adults now, but we're in foster care, one of the things that we hear regularly is, I could understand why you took me away from my parents. We understood what was happening, even though we were children. We didn't understand why we couldn't stay together. And so, so that's a really hard thing for kids to understand. And so we do everything that we can to keep them in the same home.
Yeah, they get the feeling like, oh my gosh, this is my fault.
Right. And we don't. That's the last thing that we want them to think, because it is absolutely not true.
So if you're considering becoming a foster parent or learning, I'm sure there's hundreds of questions. What do you do?
Well, there are lots of different ways that you can. First of all, I always say you can always call me, and I get people reaching out to me at different points, and then I'll connect them with my licensing supervisor if they're here local. But we talk about this all over the state. It's a need all over the state. So there is a phone number that you can call, and you will reach what we call a foster parent navigator. And these are actually people who either are foster parents or have been foster parents before, which is really great, because then they can answer any questions that someone has, even probably better than me, because they've actually lived it. And so, so living that experience is important as well. And then they'll get folks connected in the right county or with the right agency, because they can be licensed either with a local office like mine or a private agency like Family Service and Children's Aid here locally.
Foster parents, do you have to be well off financially? Do you have to pay for everything? Is there anything out of pocket? What about medical?
How about sneakers?
Yeah. How about sneakers?
Sneakers. You don't have to be well off.
Okay.
You do have to be able to sort of be able to take care of your own family. But you will get some pay for being a foster parent. It's not going to make anyone rich,
right.
But it does help to sort of counterbalance having extra children in your home. And then for sneakers and clothes, there are clothing allowances that happen each year, so the kids get a lump sum, and then they can go shopping and get the clothing that they need. And then those are the sorts of things that we help with too. If there's ever a need, we as the office get contacted, and then really our job is to support those foster parents. And I also want to say relatives, because relatives are hugely important, and we look to relatives first, because if you have to be removed from your parents, being with your grandparents or your aunts and uncles is really the next best thing. So.
And you want to put the kids in a place where they look like their foster family. You try to match, black kids with black families.
Yeah.
Is there a shortage of?
Well, there is in Jackson. Yeah. So I think we have 1 or 2 foster homes of color, and we have about 6% of our 165 children are Black children, but we have 22% that are mixed race, Black and white. And so that's another thing that we've heard from children who have aged out is not only was I removed from my parents, but I was removed from my culture and my ethnicity, and so yes, that is something that we are recruiting for as well, is foster homes of color. And then the newest thing is we are able to look at what we call fictive kin. This just changed in the law last fall. And so these are people who just have close relationships with the children. And they can take them in if they're willing to do that. And we will still work with them. We will help to get them licensed. But it's a great opportunity in those situations where we don't have a foster home that's willing to take them yet, and we don't have any relatives.
And I know that the term of a foster parent can be anywhere from hours to weeks to
years to forever.
Yeah, forever.
Yes. Yeah. So we would also, we would be happy to have a home license that says, you know what, we'd just be willing to do it over a weekend or overnight while you're looking for the best match for the child, so that they have a warm bed and a place to take a bath or a shower and get some home cooked meals while we make that best match.
That's a nice way someone could possibly help out.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then, and then sometimes it's long term, sometimes it starts short term. We just recently had one said, well, I'll do it for a couple days. And then they're like, we love her. We want to keep, we're going to keep her.
That's nice.
And so they just bonded and matched up well. And so, and then, sometimes it ends up in adoption. So it's a forever family.
And children in foster care, they're eligible for Medicaid, correct?
Yes, automatically covered for Medicaid, and Medicaid is both medical and dental. So yeah, and we have Center for Family Health here in town, which has the dental clinic. Sometimes finding dentists that take Medicaid is difficult, but we have all of that here in Jackson, so we're lucky.
And you want to keep kids from Jackson in Jackson, so
we do.
Keep things familiar.
Keeping them in their schools and with their teachers and the counselors and coaches and all those things that they already have, friends. One of the things that we know from our adverse childhood experience work is positive childhood experiences are extremely important, and friends are huge. Huge.
Zoe, thank you so much for being here today.
Certainly.
So we can get some more foster parents here in Jackson. Zoe Lyons, Jackson Director, the MDHHS. More of the morning show right after this quick break.